Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero, and our guest today is Jimmy Fitzpatrick. This dude is bananas, at least at first glance. He's been a pioneering figure in the world of freestyle motocross, which for the uninitiated means that he makes his living defying gravity, physics, anatomy, and logic, mesmerizing audiences with feats of athletic prowess while attached, or barely attached, or not attached at all to a screaming motorcycle, flying, twisting, spinning, and flipping 4 stories above the rest of us. We've all seen it, and if you've seen it, you've seen Fitz. But if you hadn't, and I described it to you, you wouldn't believe a person could do this stuff and keep being alive. But he has, and he does, and he's the tip of the spear, the leader of the Fitz Army, the Bronco Buster of the Nuclear Cowboys Tour, and a mercenary of the Metal Militia, which means he gets to travel the country with his buddies, jumping and flipping over stuff for our great amusement. Scott and Pete went to Fitzland, a private FMX compound with a full course surrounded by miles of trails in Temecula, where the team rides every day and where Jimmy and his brother Brent also operate Greystone Vineyards, a production winery where they make a variety of delicious reds and have a beautiful space to host weddings and events in Southern California wine country. The boys talk about what it takes to continually advance in extreme sport and to make a living entertaining us in such an awesome way. You can follow him on Insta at JFitzo, and on all other social media, he's easy to find. You're going to love him. Everybody loves him. With Pete and Scott, here's Jimmy Fitzpatrick.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Cruz.
This is Bryce Vine.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Darryl.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
What's going on? I'm Jimmy Fitzpatrick. I am a freestyle motocross rider. I've been riding dirt bikes for about 15 years professionally. Here we are. We are on the Break It Down Show, getting ready to do this thing.
Yeah, I'm sitting here with Scott. We're out here on the lower deck.
Yep, yes. The lower deck.
Yeah, you have an adult man's playground. I see RVs, old Corvettes, Bobcats, some kind of off-road racing vehicle. I can
you
tell.
still got the Bobcat?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Sheila,
actual Bobcats.
I do. Sheila, that's my real Bobcat. A few years ago, about 4 years ago, actually shot one. It was stealing one of our chickens, and I got it, took it to actually mount it above the bar inside. But Sheila, I had another Bobcat here that had grabbed another chicken and literally had the thing in my sights on my AR-15, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to kill this one. I already killed the one before, and one's good enough for me. I was like, I'm going to catch her. So I went and bought a trapper cage and caught her 2 nights later, had her, and I was going to release her. But then I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to keep her. So I went and built this big 30-foot tall cage. It's got waterfalls in there. I was like, if I'm going to keep her, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to give her a nice place. So I had her for about 3.5 years, and then she got out. Someone, I don't know how she got out. There's a combo on the cage. Looked everywhere. There's a tiny, tiny little hole in her cage, but I just don't see her getting through this hole. It's how small it was. So anyways, she gets out, but she still lives. She lives in those reeds right behind us there. There's like a full little den back there where I've seen her run to and from out of there. I don't think she has any reason to leave. She's got this pond here. She's got 1,000 squirrels and
all the ducks.
I mean, a duck or two will go missing here and there, and honestly, I really don't mind. I'd rather have the cat.
And this all happens here at what's affectionately called Fitzland.
Fitzland, yep. Fitzland is known as the freestyle motocross part, but up here, this is Tierra de Fitz.
Yeah, how many acres have we got here at Fitzland?
This is it's a 54-acre property here. Basically, it goes from that top fence line all the way down to De Portola and all around. Most of it's all in vineyards. The riding area, I think it's like 12 acres. The rest is grapes. And then we got this little pond wedding venue spot.
How many days a year are you here?
I'm pretty much gone just about every weekend doing events. Like I said, we travel quite a bit doing these freestyle motocross gigs. So I'm gone a lot. I'm gone all the time, minus through the holidays. This time we're at right now is my one time a year where I've got about 3 weeks where I really don't have to go anywhere, do anything. So that's when you'll see me on the dozer, riding the bikes.
Jimmy and I hadn't even met. Didn't even know he was a neighbor. We were at Leoness Winery over here in Southern California, in Temecula wine country, and you think it's this nice little peaceful, winery, and everyone's traveling in the stretch limos and the weddings, and then all of a sudden you hear this, and you look up over the hill, the scenic vineyards, and you'll see these dirt bikes, these motocross bikes doing, I don't know, give me some, what do you call
basically
it?
It's
give me some stunts.
Well, basically we're doing backflips on our dirt bikes. You're gonna see cliffhangers, knack-knacks, heel clickers, can-cans, KOD flips, you name it. We're out there doing it, and a lot of the people at Lane S are like, holy shit, look at those guys. That guy just did a backflip 100 feet through the air. So a lot of the people will come over there with their glasses of wine and come over and sit there and get a freestyle motocross show right there.
What was most remarkable is there's like an intervening terrain line, so you don't really see the pit at first. All you do is see these guys popping up above the horizon line, flipping around, doing all of those names, which sounded like that scene from Joe Dirt when he's rattling off the fireworks. Husker do's, Husker don'ts.
Yeah, exactly.
Whisker biscuits, and then boom, they're back down the horizon line. You're like, what the hell is going on over there? And then we met through my closer neighbor, who's maybe a half mile from me, Mike Nex, who introduced us, and then we started coming over here. Mike introduced me to Jimmy, so that's how we met. And then, we've known each other off and on for like 3.5 years now.
Yeah,
I think.
it's been a minute.
3 years,
I mean, literally, you could damn near hit a golf ball to your house. I mean, it's literally just right over the hill there. We try and have a lot of fun here, but try not to let it get too out of control sometimes.
So, Scott, you've been a commander, and commanders always have access to an engineer, at least at like battalion level and above. It's like your man here can be a good combat engineer. I mean, he's got piles here in the ground with this deck.
Yeah, so Fitzland, just to paint a picture, I think calling it like a man's playground is an understatement, because it's much more than that here. I mean, we're sitting under this double-decker deck with... These are like larger than telephone poles.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little mini pier is what it is.
Well, literally, we're sitting on top of Lake Fitz.
Yeah,
so
we got a nice little lake out here in front. Like I said, we're setting it up for the wedding venue.
Yeah. So is it going to be? Are you going to become like an ordained minister? Is it going to be Father Jimmy next time I see you?
I think I'm not going to deal with any of that. It's going to be like, you know what? Call me if a light bulb doesn't work.
I'd like to see that, though.
Otherwise, that's. I'm just building it because I know it's such a popular thing out here in Temecula wine country. Is all these weddings going on. So I was like, you know what? Right here would be a perfect spot for a wedding venue.
Yeah, it really would.
So we put in the lake. It was a few bucks for the liner, but honestly, what really gave me the gung ho on doing it was, we're gonna make this wedding venue out of it, but at the same time, we're gonna have all kinds of fun here. We're out here with jet skis and rope swings and people jumping off the dock. Set up a little cable line for wakeboarding, so we have a lot of fun out here as well.
Is the train car bar going to have a separate name too? It's part of the venue. I mean, it is literally, you got the Fitzpatrick Railroad now running through here. There's a train car.
I would have never thought in a million years I'd become like a small expert on trains, because I've done so much research. And when I bought that thing, or built it basically, I bought the actual box cart, just the box. It was an old refrigerator cart from 1875.
And it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's cool. It's super rustic, and I'm going to make a really cool saloon-style bar in there. But I had to get the undercarriage, the axles from a Paris train museum, the railroad track I got out in like Needles area, the railroad ties I got up in Lancaster. So basically I had to get all the pieces of it together. And then there it is. Now it sits up there. Going to be a bar here pretty quick. So,
will you have like real live staged gunfights inside of it too?
Maybe. I mean,
you better
anything
draw.
Happens out here, man. I'm telling you, that is not beyond the realm of possibility.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stories. I mean, there's multiple episodes
it's ridiculous
of podcasts. I'm sure Jimmy's laid it down on others.
Like I said, maybe one day I'll write a book too.
Yeah, you could.
You should.
But the actual Fitzland. I love that now that it has its own like proper honorific Fitzland, and we can carve that out on a map in Riverside County. But to walk through and like see the transformation of even your garage, which is really like a museum. It was, there were so many motorcycles in there. So like, all right, real quick, how many motorcycles have you owned in your lifetime?
30 plus bikes I have right now. I've always
hundreds probably.
Yeah, it's I mean, I've gone through a lot of bikes, but I've always kept my favorite ones just because I mean, what am I going to do? Sell them?
So when you get on a bike where you pick something out, like other bikes, you're like you can have an old car, but then you get in your nice new car with Bluetooth and actual comfortable shit.
Yep.
So like if you got like that old double shocker red Honda, dirt bike, and you're like, I love it, but I cannot ride this thing.
Exactly. I've got my first bike, my first real big bike I've ever owned. It was my 1999 KX125. That was my first bike that I actually hit big jumps on, 100-foot jumps, and started doing all my tricks. And it's probably worth it's worth nothing. It's but it's probably my most favorite bike out of all of those, just because there's so many memories on that bike. I worked so hard for it as a kid. My parents just didn't go and buy it for me. My dad told me, you work for half the money. Basically for every dollar you make, I'll match it. So, dirt bike's about $6,000. So as a kid in junior high working on the weekends, it took me a while to make like $3,000 to buy that. That was always my goal as a kid. I was like, I love dirt bikes. I want that bike, KX125. And then finally I went and got it. And once I got that thing, it was game over. I never looked back. I was like, I want to be a motocross guy. And my mom's like, what are you talking about? You're going to be a motocross guy. And here we are 15 years later. It's
But as a motocross guy, like there's a lot of things you can be. Like you're basically part stuntman, part motorcycle rider, because there's racers and there's all kinds of different disciplines. Mm-hmm. When did you know you settled into this side of it?
Freestyle motocross. When I was a kid, racing a little bit, I used to love when we'd go to the tracks, I'd basically find the biggest jump on the track and I would just jump it and then land, turn around, and jump it. I just sit there, spend all the time. Instead of sitting there spinning laps, I just find the big jump and just jump it all day long. And then this sport of freestyle motocross was starting to come up, and I was just a little kid, and I was looking up to all these guys like Brian Deegan and Kerry Hart, Mike Metzger, pretty much all the guys that started our sport. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. Look what those guys are doing. And growing up in Orange County, I moved out here when I was about 15, 16, started riding, and then come to find out my idols, Brian Deegan and all those guys, lived here.
Your neighbors,
They're my neighbors, and I had no idea. I had no idea that these guys all lived here. I was basically out riding in the hills back here. I just moved into town, and so I was about 15, 16 years old, and didn't really know anybody. I'm out riding in the hills back there. I see a group of guys out there riding. I remember all their bikes were all blacked out. They had all this black gear. I'm like, who are those guys? Went and rode right up to them. I'm like, holy shit, that's Brian Deegan. That's Mike Metzger.
Did they give you the locals rule thing? Like, these are my waves.
Yeah,
like Point Break type
exactly
deal.
Like that. Nah, they're actually super cool. I basically went up there and introduced myself, and I was like, hey, I'm Jimmy. I just moved into town, and I was like, I got this piece of property. It's a couple miles away. You guys should come check it out. There's nothing there yet, but it has huge potential. Like I said, the way that the hills flow and everything, I knew it was a dirt bike paradise. So they basically all followed me here, and they saw the place, and they're like, wow, yeah, this place could be pretty cool. I remember we all broke out our shovels right then and there, and spent an hour building just one jump by shovels, and they sat there and jumped this thing, and I was in mid-flow, mid-pack with the Metal Militia jumping. I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is my freaking dream right here. That morning I would have never guessed that that was going to happen. Then I remember Deegan, he's like, you should build this, build this, build this. I did, and I think it's if you build it, they will come. And I did, and that's how it all started for me.
And they live right up the road here, too.
Yeah, no, yeah. Deegan, everybody, I mean, right here, Temecula, this is the Mecca.
You can't miss it because the double gates have the big metal militia icon with the
the big skulls on it.
Big skulls and helmets. Yeah,
yep,
it's pretty badass.
That's Larry Linkogle's place. But then, Brian Deegan lives right down the road. Jeremy Twitch Stenberg, he lives right down the street. Todd Potter, Robbie Madison, all these huge, big-time motocross guys are all right here in Temecula. Riverside County, it's the Mecca for dirt bikes.
You have all these wonderful toys and everything, but I walked up. I haven't signed a release or nothing. Like, how do you?
If you hop on a dirt bike down there, it's
okay.
one thing. Got to sign a waiver. That's pretty much how it works. It's dangerous. We've had should have watched my best buddy die in my arms down below. We've had broken bones all day long.
You yourself just got out of the hospital.
Yeah,
literally.
I broke my my talus, my ankle, for the third time about 9 weeks ago. So recovering from that. Just got my boot off. Think I'm gonna probably start riding maybe tomorrow for the first time.
Which adds up to how many broken bones have you had?
I couldn't even tell.
Lost count.
You name the bone, I've broken it twice. It's my left ankle 3 times, my right ankle twice. February, I just broke my tib and fib. They put a rod in there. Broke my femur a few years back, so I got a rod here, rod there. Broke my hip, broke my pelvis, broke my ribs, broke my sternum, my left wrist twice, this one twice, my hands, my clavicle, collarbone.
And after all those, how many times have the doctors and med staff said, Jimmy, you got to stop riding?
Well, no, it's my orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alexander. He's like
he probably sends you Christmas cards and care
he must have
packages.
a sweet
Jimmy,
car.
keep riding.
He does. But he's a sports medicine guy. He knows that I'm gonna ride, so he works. He's like the dirt bike doctor. He works on all the guys. Jeremy McGrath. So he works with us to get us back onto the bike sooner than later. He's not one of those doctors like, you need to knock this off, because he knows that's just not in our blood. He rides himself. He goes out there and he does the Elsinore Grand Prix. He's like the dirt bike doctor.
So athletes at the professional level, like, if we all suited up for NFL right now, we would not be able to move the next day. You build up to that, right? Boxing, same thing.
Totally.
They just get punched. So is it that you guys were like, I broke my wrist, I've done this enough times that the pain is manageable? Or
yeah, no, it's when, for example, when I broke my ankle, I was like, yep, it's broke. Let's go to the hospital. Compared to my first few breaks, it was like crazy pain and this and that. You just know it's temporary. Some broken bones hurt more than others, obviously.
Like a femur. Jesus.
A femur. When I broke my femur in 4 spots. That one hurt the most out of all of them. And when it did break, it was like the sound of a 2x4 snapping. It was loud. So that one hands down hurt to where I was like, get me to the freaking hospital now, But most of the time it's like, it's broke. It hurts. Let's go. So it's something we all deal with.
So after all those, is there like one singular moment where you've got a massive, maybe it was the femur break, where you doubt yourself when you're transitioning back from convalescence? You're like, maybe it's just not worth it.
For sure. I think, I've seen a ton of...
How do you move past that?
Yeah.
Like to get back in the fight, to get back in the game.
Totally. That's what I think makes our sport kind of gnarly is I've seen so many guys that are like full of talent, like can ride and throw the bike around, but they can't handle that crash, which I don't blame them. It hurts, and it's scary. It's not meant for everybody. And my parents, sometimes when there's been times, like for instance when I broke my left ankle, my right pelvis, and my right wrist all in one crash, and I was laying on the ground, and I'm like, why the fuck do I keep doing this to myself? Look at me, I'm mangled right now, and I did it to myself again. It's like, why do you do this? But then you get to the hospital, you get the pain meds, get the surgery, get healed up, you're on the couch, 2 months goes by, and it's like, man, I need to get back on my bike. I think it's something that's in your blood. It's
Yeah, most people that call those that do those things, or even guys like me who were in the military for a long time, adrenaline junkies. Like
sure.
you get the fix.
Totally.
You know, what you call adrenaline, I call like friction. You know, that pressure. Like you just got to have it, and it
have to.
That becomes a drug in and of itself. And when you don't have that around, you know, sometimes you replicate it with actual drugs, booze, high-risk behavior when you're not able to do your sport. But even for listeners that don't understand this, and we have a lot of military listeners too, and Jimmy's a big veteran supporter.
I love it.
We love. I think those guys can relate, because we don't do those stunts, you know, and all the daredevil stuff within the sport. But there's so many veterans that can relate. Totally. They will take a bullet for their country, or they'll lose a leg in an IED, and they're like, how can I get back to Iraq? When can I deploy again to Afghanistan? They just have to have that, man. It's a rare breed. How small is your community?
It's like I said, it's not meant for everybody. It's scary, and it's a real tight community, a tight industry, basically. Cause it's,
like couple hundred
worldwide.
Yeah.
You know? As far as freestyle motocross goes, actual motocross racers, I mean, there's thousands and thousands of kids that race, but true professional guys that do backflips on their dirt bikes and travel around the world and, you know, make a living at it. There's a couple.
So tell us like what the criteria is. If there's, let's just say there's 100 guys pro motocross, like at what point do you qualify? When Fitz Army and Metal Militia and all, and they say, "Yep, you've made the cut." Yep. What have you had to do throughout your young amateur career to get to the pro level?
Well, basically, to get to that level, you're gonna probably get recognized before you actually get there. Be like, "Oh, that kid's an up and comer," but you're gonna pay the price. You don't just get good like that, you know. It comes with experience of years and years and broken bones. I mean, there's not one person out there that basically picked up a dirt bike and then a couple years later he was a pro. It just doesn't happen because, one, you're going to crash, you're going to get hurt, and like me, if I continue to ride, which I am, it's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen, my next broken bone, whatever that may be. So when you get to the point, you get your freestyle international motocross license. You know, the AMA gives it to you, and basically that allows you to perform. And basically, it's almost, I wouldn't call it a union, but kind of something like that. It gives you a.
You got to pay to be in it.
Don't have to pay.
No.
There's no fees or anything like that. But basically, you get this insurance thing. It's like an international insurance policy thing, to where ESPN sponsors it, and it's basically a ride to get you home, because you go to all these countries, you crash, it's like, how are you going to get home, you know, especially depending on how bad the crash is. It gives you like a Metajet, so
yeah, it's
a tough thing to do, but like I said, it doesn't really happen like that.
So like a motocross scout, or it's all the guys that are in the pro level, like, I like that guy, he's got style.
Yeah, basically. I mean, with me having this place right here, Fitzland, I get hit up every single day by kids wanting to come here and learn, and I'm like, I can't teach you. I mean, I can show you, but it's way too much of a liability. Just come out here and try and kill yourself, because you're gonna crash. You're going to. And
have you have you done it throughout your career where you've found a young rider where you've wanted to mentor them? Do you mentor young riders?
Sure.
Yeah,
definittle.
Is that something you really enjoyed, like teaching the sport eventually, or you do it now? I'm sure.
Totally. That's I've been doing it for so long. I've taught a lot of guys how to do flips down here. I mean, there's guys that know how to ride that are like, yeah, you can definitely ride. You're good. You're qualified. So I'll get them down in the foam pit, start them off teaching them like on a BMX bike, and then from there we'll basically step it up to a dirt bike, but off like a steep ramp, real close, and then after a couple weeks of practice, I'll eventually get them to go to dirt. But some people are like right there, but then just can't do it. You know, like doing backflips into a foam pit is one thing, but once you take that foam pit away and there's your dirt landing, it's scares the shit out of people, and I don't blame them because I did it. It's freaking scary. It's really scary. It's not. That's when people are just you know what?
It always looks cooler on TV and like Facebook and Instagram,
sure, yeah.
right? Like that picture of you doing a handstand on the handlebars 30 feet off the deck. For every one of those that there was a badass picture taken, how many were not there? Or like,
yeah, I mean, like I said, it's well, we usually we're actually our stats are pretty good. I mean, for the thousands and thousands of flips I've done, I probably crashed on, I don't know, 100 of them maybe, I don't know. But 90% of the 99% of the time we landed, we're good. But there's always that 1% where.
What's the difference maker on a flip? And then how soon do you know, like, shit?
Right off the ramp, I'll know if it's going to be good.
And then what did you do wrong?
Basically,
excluding mechanical failures.
A straight backflip is pretty easy for me. I can do that pretty much in my sleep for the most part. It's when basically you're doing a backflip variation, you know, or for instance, let's say you're doing a backflip seat grab. You go pull, get the flip going, and then you go for your seat, grab the seat, but then when you're coming in, basically you're not quick enough to the handlebars and you land, all of a sudden you don't have much time to think about it. All of a sudden it's basically, I missed, wham, you're hitting the ground, But there is sometimes, too, where, for instance, when I broke my ankle, right off the ramp, I had a mechanical failure. My bike, the clutch, completely didn't engage. So the power was there, but the bike had no thrust off the ramp. So I basically chucked the bike instantly and tried to get myself to the landing, which was 80 feet that way. So I pushed off the bike, and I was just rolling the windows up, trying to keep my body level through the air. So I had a lot of time to think about it. How's this one going to go? And then basically landed on my feet, did 3.5 rolls, back up to my feet again. And I was just like, left ankle. So sometimes it happens like that. And then sometimes it feels like you have forever. And then there's some times where you just basically knock the piss out of yourself and you wake up in the hospital and you're like, I guess I must have crashed. So all crashes are different. Some of them you can shake right off. Some of them you can involves an ambulance ride.
Can you get distracted, or are you 100% focused all the time?
No, I'm 100% focused. I've done multiple shows where there's bombs going off and big flamethrowers and this and that. But when it comes to the ramp, I mean, I've got pretty much straight tunnel vision. I'm not really looking at anything else. I've done stunts where they basically put me in a full fire suit, light me on fire, and then I go and do a backflip off the ramp on fire.
Of course.
But even though I'm on fire,
the inherent danger of landing is not enough. Please light me on fire before I do a backflip.
That was a pretty cool little. I had to get to my fire basically certified for it, because when I did it, I went to this full fire school thing, and they basically, I told them, I was like, I want to do a backflip on fire on my motorcycle, and they're like, what? And I'm like, well, I can do backflips, no problem. So I showed them that, and you have to wear probably about 30 pounds of stuff on you with all the fire gels and the fire suit and everything. Like, you think you can do that? I'm like, no problem. So they wanted to see it for themselves, so they came out here. We did the school down in L.A., and they came out here, suited me all up, and they're like, let's just have you just straight jump it the first time with all your fire stuff. And
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero, co-host of the Break It Down show and fellow producer here at Lions Rock Productions. And I'm proud to announce our newest show coming in January. It's called Justice. Season 1 is going to be a deep dive into some of the cases I personally worked on as a licensed private investigator, and you'll get a unique view into the criminal justice system that may just challenge some of your personal notions about how it should work and open your eyes in ways you never imagined. So keep your ears open for Justice, a brand new podcast coming in January from Lions Rock Productions to iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
So they wanted to see it for themselves, so they came out here. We did the school down in L.A., and they came out here, suited me all up, and they're like, let's just have you just straight jump it the first time with all your fire stuff, and then you can do the flip. I'm all, okay, yeah, whatever. And so they lit me up, and I just went straight ahead. I was like, I'm doing a flip, and went and flipped it first jump, and landed.
Tell him the Daredevil just to take it easy the first time.
Yeah, because I don't want to. I just didn't want it to, like, I don't know, scare me or something. Like, have it just. I wanted the tunnel vision. I was like, I'm doing a flip and nothing else is getting in my way. But if I went and straight jumped it and, like, I don't know, the fire. I don't know. I was like,
that's not what you do.
I'm just gonna flip it. That's what I came here to do. So
when you look at other athletes, this is one of my favorite things to ask folks that do crazy ass shit. What do you think? Those motherfuckers are insane. I would never do that. Is it slackline? What is it?
Well, I've got to. I don't know. I think I like doing all of it. I think freestyle motocross is probably one of the most craziest things in action sports.
How about bull riding?
Bull riding, I think, is pretty cool. We do a ton of shows for rodeos, and I hopped on a bull one time at Del Mar. And I didn't last very long. On fire.
Yeah. On fire.
Me and the bull.
I lit the bull on fire.
Yeah, it's actually, I thought, because I've done 100 rodeo shows, and I know a lot of these cowboys, and I'm like, man, that's. I thought I'd be pretty good at it. I got bucked right off pretty instantly. So my hat's off to those guys. There's definitely a technique to it. Bull riding be cool. Slackline, I did this stunt about a year and a half ago where I do a lot of air shows where I set up my ramps, and there's air shows going on, and I found this pilot where I was like, hey, because he'd get real low to the ground, and I'm all, would you feel comfortable if I did a flip over you? And he's all, that would be really cool. But we could never find like an air base that would allow us to do that.
Uh-huh.
So he's doing his research. He found this out in Mojave Desert, just this flat landing strip, and we paid the insurance for it, and the guy's like, hey, you can do whatever you want. So we set up a deal where I had my ramps out there. He was in his plane, and then we had our buddy, we call him Sketchy Andy. He's a slackline guy.
Okay.
So he had his full slackline set up about 40 feet in the air, and then I had my ramp right here, and the pilot would basically fly underneath him while he was on the slackline, and then I would do a backflip over him. So it was a really, really cool shot. It was on another thing featured on ESPN's top 10 of the year was basically this stunt where I did a backflip over a flying plane with Sketchy Andy on the slackline right next to me. I'll have to pull you the video for it. If you just Google Jimmy Fitzpatrick plane stunt or something, it'll come up.
I once saw a guy in Bisbee, Arizona. This is 100% true. He had a dog, and riding on his dog was his cat, and riding on his cat was a mouse. Same kind of thing, but just a little more complicated for you guys.
How do you go? How do you go about choreographing that out? Is there a lot of math involved, or you guys are just winging it? I mean,
well, that one. I mean, the ramp we jump at like 75, 80 feet. That's the one that I set up at all my shows. That's pretty standard. Which second gear pretty hard on my 450 will launch me there every time. But to get the timing of us doing the flip right as she was diving underneath us, to get that part, you would think would take a few tries, but I think we nailed it on the second go. Basically, I would just see the plane coming. I'm thinking right about now, and I'd leave. And the first one I did, she basically, her name's Melissa. She's a female pilot, but she rips. She's killer. But anyways, she went right below me, and I just barely missed her. I'm like, okay. There was all these trees.
When you say mister, you mean like the timing, not like physically.
Yeah,
okay.
The timing. So I was like, okay. I think I just need to go just a little bit sooner. There was all these trees, and I just counted the trees, and I was like, when she hits that fourth tree, I need to go. And basically, the second time, we freaking nailed it. And I probably did it maybe 20 times or so. Wow. The whole time I'm doing no-handed flips, Indian air flips, seat grab flips. But it was pretty cool. Like my GoPro on my helmet, you're upside down. You just see this plane just right underneath you. So that was one of the
So what's
stunts.
I mean, that's a capstone stunt right there. But what's the comparison in your world to? Let's talk about like awards and recognition. You see like X Games, you see Red Bull, these guys like diving out of airplanes in the ionosphere to ground, parachuting off motorcycles. Yep. So what is it for you? Like where is that top award? Or I mean, do you think you've been there? I mean, you've been on America's Got Talent. You've been on all over ESPN. What is it for you?
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest with you, I mean, all my goals I've pretty much accomplished on a motorcycle. I think the biggest thing now is I'm not trying to go out there and win X Games anymore. Like I said, I've broken every bone. I leave it
That's the goal. Break every single bone of my body. Yeah. I broke my tick last week, Pete. It's done.
It's all of them. It's over. Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't know. A big goal of mine right now is keep building my brand, Fitz Army. That's getting bigger and bigger.
Let's talk about Fitz Army.
Yeah,
I mean,
Fitz
how big
Army.
is the Army?
It's I've got a team of 22 guys now, and it's basically we got guys all over the place, from Australia, guys from Europe, a couple guys from South America. But other than that, it's basically the crew of guys that rides here every day. That's been riding here for years and years. That's all the guys that ride at Fitzland. And Fitz Army, basically, I just gave our crew a name. Everybody rides at Fitzland. Everybody knows Fitzland in the motocross community, so I was like, let's just call it Fitz Army because they can already compare it to Fitzland. And basically, we're a team of riders that travels all around the country, all around the world, basically, and puts on these freestyle motocross shows. We do stuff all the way from monster jams to off-road truck races to air shows, military events. We have one here in about 3 weeks. We're going to be jumping out at 29 Palms Marine Base. So yeah, I mean, Fitz Army is basically just a crew of freestyle motocross guys. But since then, I've sponsored a couple MMA guys. So a bunch of my buddies are like full-blown UFC fighters that rock the Fitz Army deal. I got some pro BMX guys. We sponsored a couple snowmobile guys. So yeah, the whole thing is
we got a pretty big contingent out here in our backyard of kind of extreme sports dudes from motocross. I mean, Dan Henderson's gym's right here. Hendo's right down here.
Henderson's right here. I mean, for sure.
It's kind of a hidden gem out here. So like,
it really is.
We don't like to broadcast it too much. We're like, hey, you live in Temecula? Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Don't move here. No, it's great.
It's way too hot out there.
It's like living on a postcard. Yeah, that's what turns most people off. The heat.
Sure.
I love it.
No, I think it's not bad.
And the ducks are great.
It's exactly. It's honestly, if you get down like towards like Elsinore, that's like just kind of like a pit there where it's pretty warm. But right here, we're so close. I mean, the ocean's right over that hill. The way the crow flies, we're only like 30 minutes or so. So you get a bit of that ocean breeze that comes through here. Yeah, it's not bad. Sometimes it'll get up in the triple digits, but it comes, it goes. It doesn't last forever. But here we are in December. It's perfect weather.
The best part too is just being out here in Riverside County. It's very permissive. No one's messing with you. It's super quiet out here.
Yep.
Last night, I mean, you probably saw the stars. It's so clear out here.
Yeah, exactly.
And hot air balloons fly over our houses.
Every
it's
morning.
like living on a postcard.
Every morning.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's
don't move here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Temecula. You tell people, I live in Temecula like 10 years ago. They'd be like, Temecula, what's that? Now you can be in freaking New York and you say Temecula, and they're like, oh, Southern California's wine country.
When I was a young lieutenant, they used to call Temecula company grade officer housing because it was so cheap to live out here.
Yep.
And now it's grown from probably, I mean, talking to Mike next too, he used to ride his dirt, and he's been here 26 years. They used to ride their dirt bike down what is now, Highway 79, which is the main thoroughfare to get to I-15, which is getting as bad as LA traffic now. When did you move out here?
I moved out here about 16, 17 years ago.
From where?
From Orange County. Whittier is where I grew up. I grew up in Whittier, Huntington Beach, full Orange County kid, and then moved out here. Said got a dirt bike and never looked back. But right when I got here is when it started to take off. Yeah. Right, because this property right here used to be owned by Dr. Hildy, which is one of our family's good friends. So I used to come to this same property right here when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old. I remember there was nothing here. Nothing. Nothing but, farmland out here. Now it's like I said, it's Southern California's wine country.
It's like 60, 70 wineries, and they're supposed to build like another 40 in the next 10 years or something.
Exactly. That's why I'm hopping on that freight train.
What's good though is you own this much land too. You can either sell some of it and make sure no one builds next to you. So it's
totally. I mean,
that's
my uncle. This is 54 acres. Uncle Ron is the next property next to us. He's got 24 acres. Ron Morgan. Yeah. That's my uncle.
He's got the wedding.
He does.
Deal going on. Hey, Ron.
He's got the full
looking
pavilion.
good up there. I love that pavilion. He used to install safes too. He is a.
Oh wow.
He is a. I don't know. It's a safe as big as this dock. It is nuts.
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, it's
awesome.
incredible.
Yeah.
I won't tell anybody what's in it
exactly.
but it is.
It's like something out of a movie.
And he used to install them. I mean, the guy's the master, and it's gorgeous.
Oh,
it's so pro now.
It's
good job, Ron.
Exactly, Uncle Ron. He does it right. He was our neighbors in Whittier where I grew up, and then we moved here, and then that place was going for sale, and my dad's like, Uncle Ron, get this thing, get the hell out of Whittier here and come out to Temecula. So he moved there, and like I said, it's just like you said, enough property here to where we're kind of I wouldn't say like away from everybody, but we don't have people stacked right on top.
Dude, we're 15 minutes from Walmart. That's the great equalizer,
That's
right?
what I
People
love
are like,
about
you guys live in the sticks. I say I'm 10 minutes from Walmart. So,
exactly.
Yeah, that's a great equalizer.
Totally. It's like just perfect enough because we're out here. We're out in the country. I can go hop on my dirt bike and I can go ride out in the hills and I can go shoot guns. I mean,
you can pet your bobcat.
You can pet the bobcat. You can you can throw parties out here till you can be as loud and crazy as you want to. But like I said, Ralph's, the grocery store's 8 minutes away.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I love it out here.
So you grew up in Orange County. What did your dad do to set you up for success? And then when you made the decision to be a pro motocross racer, freestyle motocross, what was his advice back to you?
Well, basically, growing up in Orange County, I used to love dirt bikes. That's, and you'd open up my locker and people would like have, pictures of like Pamela Anderson or something. You'd open up mine, it'd be like all my motocross idols. I was just obsessed with it ever since as long as I can remember. Something I always wanted to be. And then, like I said, we moved out here, and I was like, wow, I could actually do it because I've got property here. I can ride and train. So when I was about 15, 16, I always said, this is what I'm going to do. When I was a kid in high school, I was a bit of a hellraiser, and I got kicked out of 3 high schools that I was in. So I ended up after the last time I got kicked out, I just finished up on home studies real quick. Graduated, got my GED, and then I was working for the family business, and then riding my dirt bike. That's what
was
I was
the business?
Commercial refrigeration. It's a business we've had.
That's where you got the railroad car from.
It's
the reefer.
The reefer cart. Yep, exactly. Yeah, we've had it for about almost 70 years. My grandfather started it, but lost my train of thought of what we were talking about.
Let me ask you
no
this.
pun intended. Train, car.
Your family comes from a business. Your uncle's got a business, that kind of thing. So some of that must have seeped in. But you've got a lot of assets here. It's easy to have used that money in other ways. I mean, you're a rowdy group of people. Mm-hmm. You guys live in the moment. How the heck did you figure out how to keep a lot of this stuff?
Well,
because you got to know guys are like, "Woo, I'm never going to run out of money." And you're like, that dude ran out of money.
Well, yeah. Well, that's kind of what was me. I mean, I was a kid doing pretty well as a young kid. Freestyle motocross, little superstar. Sponsors and making money was easy. And now it's changed. I always would go over to Europe and freaking make good money in a weekend.
Yeah.
Come home and go freaking buy a Harley or a Corvette or Razors, Rhinos. Trailers. I just if I wanted it, I just go get it. I always told myself, my parents were like, save your money, this or that, and I'm like, for what? Like, if I can buy all that stuff when I'm older, but then I won't appreciate it as much. I was like, if I could have it right now when I'm young, you'll appreciate it. But one thing they really, really bet into all of us, my brothers, is hard work.
Yeah.
It's that's one thing that we've got. We're not lazy. You'll never see me sitting on the TV, sitting down, watch TV. It's just not me. I work in my shop till I'm literally ready to go to bed, and then I get up, go ride my motorcycle. Built this venue here. I wasn't definitely not good with my money when I was younger. I just, like I said, I spent it. But now I'm taking it. I quit buying all the toys and all that, I was like, I've had my fun with all that stuff. And now I'm just putting all my energy into building this place, Tierra de Fitz, getting this place up and going. But I think this thing will do pretty well. Like I said, all these wineries.
It's immense. And
yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of things. You're going to have to tell us one thing we don't know. Like I like to do a true confession about me, but it'll be better coming from you. I always pull one thing out. But he makes wine here too, and there's like one special vintage called the Panty Dropper or something.
The Panty Dropper.
Yeah, there haven't been any Mrs. Jimmy's in your past, have there?
No misses.
No.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different, varietals up there.
For
but
sure.
Isn't that one of them?
Yeah, no,
crazy.
It's definitely one thing. You go to the bars down there, and
it is like a museum here. There's like automotive stuff going on. There's trains, boats, ducks, bobcats, wine, musicians. There's like a band room in there.
Yeah,
and this is just on this. You haven't even seen like his folks' house live up there. Like
the castle up top.
The real people house, like the grown up land. I don't know. Like,
that's another pretty impressive place.
So what's one thing that at least I don't know about you? I mean, I've rattled off a bunch.
Shit, I don't know.
What's one thing most people don't know about you?
How about fill in the blank?
Yeah.
I almost died this day when?
Well, I've had a few times I almost died. One time I almost died on my dirt bike. It was I've got the crash on film. And it wasn't even that bad. I just scraped my elbow up pretty good. But I threw the bike. The bike landed on the top safety deck. I landed at the bottom. The bike did a full airborne flip, and right where I basically landed and slid, the bike missed me by inches. If you watch the video, you would have thought it hit me. That's how close it was. But where the handlebars stabbed the ground, it went like this deep into the ground right behind my neck here. So another inch, it would have just hit me in the back of the neck, and it would have killed me right then and there. I didn't get hurt at all, and it's I've lost close to 10 friends doing what I do. It's kind of something that I do think about every time I do ride. Any day could be your last when you're riding at our level, and I don't know. I think God was with me on that one, because that would have been, we're talking 1 inch, and I wouldn't be here. So it's something that kind of scares me, I guess you could say. That's another thing. I lost my train of thought. I just started rambling about something.
Oh,
else,
it was great. What would your 10 or so friends say to you though, day to day?
My friends that I've lost, I always just feel like they're riding right there with me,
They died doing what they loved. I think most of us think that.
That's the thing is, no one's getting out alive,
Right.
We're all heading that direction, and I think any day could be your last. I mean, you could be freaking killed driving down the road. It's I think the closest you are to death that's when you're really living, It's,
I had a good friend of mine. He was a Special Forces Marine. His name is Jeremy Graysick. He was in my wedding. Mm-hmm. He loved BMX. We lived in Twin M Palms, and I just got back from deployment. I'm shacking up with this other guy, and I hear in the front yard. He comes barreling up. Obviously has no idea what he's doing. He's on like a 350 or something. Yeah. He's a big, massive dude, looks like a superhero. And he says, "Scotty, you going to teach me to ride this?" I go, "No." He goes, "But you ride motorcycles." I go, "Yeah, but I'm not teaching you to ride that. You're going to kill yourself." I go, "Why did you buy a motorcycle if you don't know how to ride it?" He says, "Well, we live in the desert, man. You got to have a motocross bike." I'm like, "Great." But then he deployed. He's on leave from Afghanistan, and he goes to I think he was in the Swiss Alps when it happened. I was deployed when we heard the news, but he and a friend, instead of going home to visit family on leave from combat, they go base jumping, and he is jumping and the wind catches his chute and he's spiraling and he crashes into the side of a mountain, or as the story goes, and was killed on impact. But none of us were really sitting around sobbing for Jeremy, because he could have been killed in Afghanistan, he could have been killed in one of his deployments to Iraq, but he was doing what Jeremy loved to do, and this guy was so over the top. We just knew that again, he was present, he was living in the middle, living life, and
for sure.
So I think that I can relate to that on a lot of different levels.
Yeah, it's that's what I say too. All my buddies, they died doing what they loved,
Yeah.
And if I could pick any way that I'd die, I'd be like, put me on a motorcycle. That's what I love the most.
On fire.
On fire.
With his Bobcat.
On fire.
with my Bobcat.
Bobcat and the dirt bike sidecar.
What's one place you want to ride?
I've
Country or spot?
I've toured just about everywhere. I've been all over Australia, all over Asia, all over Europe, South America. I haven't been to Africa. I would love to go on a safari on my dirt bike out in Africa. I think that'd be awesome.
That would be cool.
That would be pretty cool. So that's on the bucket list.
You should do a knack over the South Pole.
Knack, right?
He could, because as I'm lining up this podcast to get Jimmy on,
knack over the South Pole.
Well, first he's in the hospital. He just gets out, and then I call him the other day. I said, "Hey, are we good for tomorrow?" He says, "Yeah, I'm at the hospital right now." I'm like, "No way!" He's busted himself again. He says his friend broke his wrist, and he did it on this motorcycle.
This snow bike,
What's it called?
It's a snow bike. My buddy Daniel Bodine, he's a badass snowmobile guy from Sweden, and he's a dirt bike guy. He can do both. But he came out here for Winter X Games, which is in like a month. They basically came out with this new event where it's a dirt bike with a sled on the back. Pretty crazy contraption.
Yeah, it's like half snowmobile,
half dirt bike.
Like it's Caterpillar tread on the back as a back tire, and on the front it's like a snowmobile ski.
It's got a ski on the front.
It's nuts. It just looks dangerous sitting there, and it's going 0 miles an hour.
For sure, exactly. That thing's sketchy. I've ridden it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll leave that up to you.
But he was riding it in the dirt out here.
He was riding it because he put the thing together, and then he was going to practice into the foam pit down below, where basically you just take a piece of turf, 100-foot piece of turf, and just line it up to the ramp, and then you practice all your tricks into the foam pit. So he was going to do that straight up till X Games, and then go to Aspen, Winter X Games in Colorado, and probably get himself another medal. But he was literally just put the thing together, riding around here, and then right up there on the asphalt, I was sitting right there, I watched the whole thing, and he basically, the front ski slid out on the asphalt, put his hand down, and freaking broke his wrist. So
no X Games.
He's pretty pissed right now.
He's DQ'd from X Games?
Yeah, I called Dr. Alexander, my orthopedic surgeon, sent him pictures of the x-ray last night, seeing if there's a fighting chance, because he's pretty tough, and he'll endure through the pain if he can do it. And Dr. Alexander would be like, he'll help us get there, but he looked at that and he's all, sorry.
You're also a motocross advocate, amongst other things.
Yeah.
Like, the list never ends with Jimmy Fitz, man.
I like to get out there and do it all if I can. Daniel, he's not going to Winter X Games this year. He's pretty bummed.
So back in my youth, I do a lot of rock climbing, and I would try to figure out how to climb everything. Everything was a route. Surely there are jumps where you're like, it's not possible, but I would love to huck myself up over this, or up the Lux, like some kind of crazy ramp, or what is that thing? What's that?
Well, we do a lot of go out to the desert, and we're out in Glamis, the sand dunes, and I'll see a freaking hill to hill where I was like, that's a perfect lip. That's a perfect landing. Problem is, it's about 200 feet, So it's like some jumps that's where it's risky. That's where something really bad can go happen. Obviously, we do the ramps every day. We'll do all the backflips and stunts. I mean, I've crashed a bunch there too, but for the most part, I do it in my sleep. It's all muscle memory. But when I go out to the dunes and I see this whole new jump that hasn't been jumped yet, that's what really gets me going. I mean, that's
is that the different? Is that even within the community, or as a professional, or just an enthusiast? Is there some different sensation? Or so I do like hard dirt tracks and jumps, and then there's the guys that just go out to Glamis, and they're like, this is real motocross, man.
Sure.
That hard,
free
those
riding,
jumps.
free riding. Yep.
Yeah. What do they call it?
Free riding.
Free riding.
Free riding. Yep. There's a whole crew of guys that are like just stick to the hills, the desert.
But is it all love in the community? Like, there's no like,
for sure.
Yeah.
No,
like surfers don't like thumb their nose at boogie boarders. It's like they all love the ocean. So
totally. I think that's how it is for us. I mean, I got a bunch of guys, buddies that ride quads, and we always give them shit, just because they're on quads, but they're also like hucking backflips and doing all the crazy stuff on these.
Are there any 3-wheelers still around?
There's a couple, but there's nobody that does it like professionally or anything. Those things just don't hold up. Plus, you can't even make a turn without those things falling over.
It was like the original
Been
ATV.
there, done
the
that.
ATCs, yeah.
ATC.
I got one up there. It's
You got everything here.
They're fun to do wheelies around. I love just like,
Who's got more motorcycles out here? You or Dofo Winery? Dofo.
I think we got Dofo beat.
Yeah, I think you got
sure.
it beat for
Yeah,
sure. There's
definitely.
a winery that likes
They got all the
fashion
vintage
themselves.
bikes.
Yeah.
They got a super cool spot over there with all the old classic vintage bikes. We're here. We've got all the newer bikes that are 10, 15 years old, where their bikes are more like from the 50s or something.
Mario
like
Lopez likes to go to that winery from Saved by the Bell.
Mario Lopez
he
does?
goes out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what celebrities besides you and Pete Turner have been to Fitzland?
Well, we've had the Kardashians here.
Really?
I'm trying to think.
All of the Kardashians?
We've had we've had Caitlyn Jenner here when he was Bruce.
Nice.
We've had all the sisters here. We've had. I'm trying to think as far as
Did they
celebrities.
ride, or they just got the tour?
They came here and basically we rode for them. They did part of it for
Cool.
their TV show. We've had the Housewives of Orange County come here. Same deal. Same deal with the part of their TV show. But I'm trying to think celebrities. I mean, you name like all the motocross guys.
Those are the ones that count in our world anyway. The motocross, the motocross ones, not the Kardashians, for the record. Because if this is the Mecca, which for those non-religious listeners, the Mecca being in the Middle East, where all good Muslims go at least once to make the pilgrimage to Mecca.
Yep.
Is there a East Coast contingent of motocross?
Yeah.
And did they drive across the continental United States in hopes of seeing Riverside County?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's definitely, because you can't ride there this time of year. Everything. I've got a lot of buddies, like the pro riders of the East Coast. There's quite a few of them out there, but they come out here in the winter times, and they'll go ride here with me at Fitzland, or they'll go out to the desert, or there's a few other riding spots out here in Temecula that they'll go to. But as far as like celebrity dirt bike guys, we've had everybody. Everybody's ridden here. Travis Pastrana, Jeremy McGrath, all your best freestyle motocross guys, all the way to your best supercross guys. Back to like Jeremy McGrath days to, Ken Roxon, like your best guy right now, have all ridden here. So, this I think it's pretty much on everybody's bucket list to come here. Even over in like Australia and Europe, all those guys over there, they've just sit there and watch this place on social media, or all the old dirt bike videos, or all the magazines. They're like, man, one day I'm gonna ride there. They always hit me up. It's cool because they'll come here, ride it, and they'll be like, I've never seen anything like this in my entire life, because there's really nothing like it, especially over in like Europe and everything. There's no such thing. So they'll come here and ride, but then they'll be doing like an event in their hometown of Germany or whatever, wherever that may be, and they'll always invite me over to come ride their neck of the woods. So it's kind of cool. People come here, see this place, ride this place, and then they'll book a show out there and have the promoter fly me in to go do a show wherever that may be. So
there's like 1,000 questions I wanted to ask you. We've got a bunch of them. And it's normally because Mike is around. He dominates the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Which I love because like normally I'm on and talking or speaking or something. So I love when Mike's around because I'm just like, it's great Mike's here.
Yep.
But I think it's like the most like real questions that I've gotten answered, but all super fascinating. So tell everybody what you got coming up and what's like what your big thing is besides the wedding venue here and developing this, what's
the biggest thing, like I said, is Fitz Army. I mean, I think we're looking for the new up-and-coming kids.
Do you have a recruiter for Fitz Army?
Well, everybody comes to me.
Yeah.
All the new kids, they're always come to me. I don't really have to go find it because they know I'm your ticket to getting you the sponsors.
So if I'm the young up-and-comer and I want to get hold of Fitz Army or Jimmy Fitzpatrick, how do I find you? How do I do it?
You always go. Everybody hits me up on social media. They'll go to like my Instagram @jfitzo and direct message, hit me up saying, "Man, I would really love to come out and ride your spot. I think I got what it takes." And I'll go look at their profile and see what this guy is, because if this guy's out here just hitting a 10-foot jump, doing a no-footer one-hander, I was like, go to your local track, practice a little bit more, and then come back to me. But then there's other people where I'm like, yeah, looks like you're pretty good. We're riding this day, cruise on out. They'll come out, they sign the waiver, and then they'll come out there and ride with us. But a lot of times they'll get, they see all of us come out there hitting all these jumps and doing all the flips, and it's kind of intimidating, I guess you could say. And the last thing I can want to see is someone crash and get hurt. Yeah. And we might make it look easy, but some of those jumps out there could wreck you in a hurry.
Especially a young kid. Like, I mean, what's the age requirement before they can come out? Is there an age limit?
Yeah, it's like, well, most people are like in their young 20s, early 20s. But you got to definitely be at least 18 to come ride here. But I'll tell people, if we're all sitting there training to jump and they're taking run after run after run after run at it, I'll just stop them. I'll be like, chill, go over there and jump that jump. This thing could hurt you bad, and I don't want to see it. So just go play around on this one and come back to it. Or if I'm at an event somewhere and we've got a ramp set up and it's super windy out, I always go and hit the ramp first and make sure it's safe. I was like, if anybody's going to crash, it's going to be me. And if I see one of the guys that's nervous to jump it, like taking run after run after run, I'll basically be like, stop, sit this show out, and you can do the next one. Because I think your first instinct is your best. And I think when you start taking run after run after run at the ramp, you're second-guessing yourself, and that's what you don't want to do. I'll go tell the guys, be like, hey, go back to the truck, chill for a minute, take your helmet, walk off, take a drink of water, then come back here, put on your helmet, take 1-2 runs max, and then jump it, because that's how you have to do it. It's a sport of confidence. You got to have confidence in your machine.
Not
and yourself.
For the meek.
Definitely not.
There's no ORM involved.
Yep.
Or operational risk management. But they're safe. I mean, they know what they're doing. They're pros.
Yep.
So, hey, man, I tell you, thanks for breaking it down with us here.
No, anytime.
I mean, this is
definitely,
again, a definite follow-up. We can get some more guys out here. But really good stuff, man. And always glad to come out here and hang with you, brother.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was a real pleasure, and looking forward to doing the next one. You guys are welcome here anytime. Maybe next time we'll have a crew of bikes out here riding, and you can see firsthand high-flying dirt bikes. Watch the Fitz Army do their thing.
Right on, man.
Cool.